share some poetry that I've written over the years. This one, the one I'm going to begin with, is one I've just written in last week. It's called The Man in the Moon. Let us pause and consider the man in the moon. He glows with a light that isn't his own, created to shine in the darkness of night by reflecting the glory of another's light. For it's by the sun's light that the moon can be known, and it's by the sun's light that its beauty is shown. It's the sun that now holds all the orbits in place. If the sun let it go, it would be lost in space. Yet the man in the moon wishes he could break free. He thinks of his orbit as like slavery. Every lunar eclipse to the Earth's further side, the moon tries to escape, and like Adam, he hides in the shadow of Earth where he thinks none can see. And there in the dark, he declares, "Now I'm free. Now it's my time to shine. My own light fill the skies." So he tries to shine light. Yes, he tries, and he tries, but he can't. He's a moon. Not a sun, not a star, and you can't be enlightened lest you know what you are. Still, as the moon's orbit from the Earth's shadow slips, the moon vows to try harder the next lunar eclipse. The moon is a fool, just like you, just like me. There's a reason why madness is called lunacy. The moon thinks he's so big, and the sun looks so small. If he could only see, the sun's not small at all. Even to us on the Earth, they both look the same size, but it's due to perspective. It's a trick of the eyes. You could fit 64 million moons in one sun. Yet the man in the moon thinks that he's number one. So later tonight, in the moon's bright reflection, do your own reflective introspection. See the man in the moon, because if you can, you'll see that the moon is there in the man. My next poem is called When Santa Learned the Gospel. When Santa learned the gospel, he first heard it from an elf. This tiny Santa's helper had just learnt of it himself. A child had asked for Christmas to receive a Bible book. The elf had made one in the shop, then paused to have a look. He read all about Jesus and the call to follow him. He learned how Jesus lived and taught and died to pay for sin. He learned how Jesus rose again and how he will return. And then this elf read how he should respond to all he'd learned. He shut the book, put down his tools, and closed his eyes and prayed. Right there and then, this little elf trusted in Christ that day. The next day, he told Santa. It was awkward, unprepared. He knew he didn't know that much, but what he knew, he shared. He told Santa the gospel. It was simple, it was short. But a seed was sown in Santa's heart, which grew into a thought. Santa reflected on his life and the message he supported, then compared it to the gospel that the elf had just reported. He'd always thought that everyone was naughty or was nice. He had them all on two big lists. He even checked it twice. He always thought that you got gifts only if you'd been good. The naughty kids got lumps of coal. That's what he understood. They'd all line up in shopping malls and sit upon his knee and claim that they were always nice as nice can be. Of course, he saw them when they slept and knew when they awoke. He also knew their nice attempts were pretty much a joke. Yet their heads were not filled with nice thoughts of kindness, peace and joy, but with the never-ending list of their desired toys. He knew their hearts, but he had thought, oh, they're trying to be good. That's good enough to make the list, otherwise no one would. So every year, their good enough with toys would be rewarded. And every year he realised this message he supported. The good will get the presents, the bad will get the coal, and trying to be good enough is good enough for God. That was the message that he knew. But now he knew another. He had just heard the gospel, so he compared them to each other. The message of the gospel turned his message upside down. The good, the bad, naughty and nice. It switched it all around. There's no one good but God alone, he'd heard Jesus concluded. And those who claim they're good enough are simply just deluded. If there's a list of who is good, the standard we've all missed. And Santa saw that even he was on the naughty list. That shook his world, that rocked his boat, that gripped him in his soul, to think that even Santa Claus deserved a lump of coal. But that was only half of what the gospel message said. It also flipped what happened to the naughty on its head. Instead of being written off as just not good enough, the message to the naughty list was one of grace and love. The gospel offered mercy to all those deserving coal. The gospel offered forgiveness and cleansing of your soul. The gospel told how Jesus died the death to pay the price, to reconcile us all to God, both naughty and the nice. This offer was a real gift. Unlike presents neath the tree, it was not earned by being good. It was offered for free. For all his life, Santa had claimed that if you had been bad, then you would not get presents and your Christmas would be sad. Santa compared his message with this new one he had learned. His message said you get the presents your good deeds had earned. The message of the gospel offered something so much greater. Jesus had come to reconcile the world to their Creator. When Santa grasped the gospel, he did not know what to do. And so the elf said nervously, "How about I pray with you?" Then right there, that night at the North Pole, by the fire in his den, with a simple prayer led by an elf, Santa was born again. And now in Christ, forgiven free, his new life had begun. And Santa had a new message to share with everyone. And my last short poem is one that back in 2013 my good friend Matthew Salter shattered his thumb. And Matthew Salter and I both like a good poem, and so I wrote this poem for Matthew. It's called Without a Thumb. Without a thumb, is life that bad? Does it really disable? The corporate myth that thumbs are great, I'd say is just a fable. Sure, scientists may claim that man is more evolved, proposing that we would still be like the apes without our thumbs opposing. But I say, bah, what do they know? They've never lived without them. Until they try a thumb-free life, I'll continue to doubt them. They could, like some, shatter their thumb. And if they did, I'd wager they'd soon discover life thumbless is nothing really major. Sure, you can't grip, things tend to slip, and doorknobs are an issue. True jars stay jarred, because lids are hard, without that thummy tissue. And don't begin to think you'll win if thumb wars is declared. But still it's true that the cons are few. You shouldn't really care. See, thumbs were useful long ago, in times now in the past. You needed them to throw a spear, but that need didn't last. In Roman times, at Colosseums, your thumbs had need worth noting. Thumbs up was life, thumbs down was death. No thumbs was donkey voting. In times Shakespearean, you'd bite your thumb to pick a fight. Since then, it has evolved across 2 digits to the right. And in more recent times, people use thumbs to go hitchhiking. But now, with global warming, those without a car are biking. Even now, babies don't need thumbs to suck them till they tire. We've now replaced God-given thumbs with plastic pacifier. So you can see, without a thumb, your life won't really change. Sure, if you tried to be the Fonz, your catch cry might look strange. But generally, you will be fine. In fact, life can be greater. Who cares if you can't count to 5? Just use a calculator.